Well, I messed up when I was going to get the record. And I'm talking about the guitars. The other one's probably there somewhere, so I'll just try and splice them together. I'll give two episodes. I'm talking about just the importance of understanding that when you go to the store and buy a guitar, it has no life or energy in it. And you know, I'm explaining now that I talked to a guy today. I'm selling all my guitars. Okay, I'll just back up and start over because the other one I messed the video up. Anyhow, I'm selling all my guitars. One of these days I'm going to be selling all my hats. I got about 400 hats. Okay, here's another one. That's a little bit big for me. Anyhow, so you know, it keeps me from getting my brain frozen in the winter and getting brain fry in the summer. But anyway, I cut this record in 1968, and I'm talking about, and then it was distributed in 1969. There it is. It says Russell and Miller. The top says Standing On at the bottom. That's because we couldn't decide. We want both of us wanted our name first, you know. so we decided to make the label that at the top it had me first, at the bottom it had Stan first. Yeah, so we went around singing. We sang at the college and everything, and in 1968, 1969, and we got a little bit of a following. It wasn't really great, but we produced a record and we submitted to some contests and we won the best 45 in 1969, I think it was. Produced in Washington State, and then the record went on to nationals and got recognition there, and then we had the potential of moving into something a little more concrete. We could have actually been rock stars probably, but Stan said he wanted to be an artist, and he's done an extremely good job being a fine artist. He's known all over the world. I wanted to be a singer, and I thought he was on board, but he said, no, I don't want to live my life out of a bus, you know, traveling around. And these contracts they want people to sign, they got all kinds of bad stuff in, and nobody in their right mind to sign one of those. Well, it turns out he's right. And I was rescued from that because I would have gone pell-mell into it because I was really dumb. Well, I may not be that much smarter now, but whatever the point is, that I want to talk about the guitars. As this guy, I'm selling all my guitars. I'm 70 years old. My fingers don't work like they did. I can still play a little bit, but nothing like I did when I was younger. So it's okay. You know, you get old and you change. So I've got all these guitars. I think I have 10 guitars or something like that. There are way too many guitars. People come over to my house and say, why do you have so darn many guitars? Well, every one of these guitars has life in it. I have a history with the guitar. I've written some of them. I've written a lot of songs. I'm still writing songs. I got a couple that I'm working on to produce. I think there's 4 of them that I've written that I'm gonna get them on the YouTube here soon. They're all country western songs. But anyhow, the point is that when an entertainer, and I was thinking this after I talked to this fella about buying one of my guitars, and he's saying, well, you can get the same guitar for $19 more at the store right now. And I said, excuse me, how can you get the same guitar from the store? Well, it's the same model, it's the same everything, and it's brand new, so much better. Well, this is where I wanted to address an issue. What people don't seem to understand. I think the salesman, this guy said, oh, I've been selling guitars for decades. I know guitars. I really know them. Well, the guy's not an entertainer. And there's a difference between a guy who sells a guitar to an entertainer and a guy who entertains. And there's a difference in the guitar. And I'm telling you, I know this for a fact. If you were to, or at least if I were to meet Willie Nelson, and he were, you know, he don't let anybody touch his guitars, but anyhow, if I were to meet him and get him to let me touch, maybe turn his back and I'd touch one of his guitars, you know, and I touch that guitar, I would feel all of the passion and the power and the blessing that Willie has brought to the world through music. When a guitar is held and carried on your back, and you become immersed with this is the vehicle that you're using. It's essential that you have a personal, well, and that's probably the wrong word. Somebody would take that wrong. But that you kind of meld with the guitar. I mean, you get real close to your guitars. They're like your babies. You feel them. If they're too damp, you know it, and you feel bad about it. If they get a cold, you give them aspirin almost. I mean, you love on your guitars and you protect your guitars. You don't want anybody touching your guitar, because the minute somebody touches them, then their spirit or their feeling or their emotions are in the guitar, and it can change the sound of a guitar. If you got a guitar that an entertainer has been playing for some length of time, anything, I'd play mine now, but they're not tuned. But I'm not getting good at it anymore, so I'm kind of embarrassed. I mean, I can play, but it's not like it used to be. So, I decided I'd just sell off all my guitars. My point is that this guitar, any guitar, older guitar, is miles better. These new guitars are seriously inferior to anything you can get that is a good quality guitar that's been played and loved on, and it's got the spirit of a songwriter in it. It's got the energy of a songwriter. It's got the energy of gigs, of sorrow, of going through the hard times, walking through the trash of the whole industry, feeling the pain, being betrayed and lied to and stolen from. And you just have no idea. If you haven't walked that path, my friend, I'm sorry, you don't know guitars. I don't care how many years you sold them. I'm 70 years old, and I've been playing it. The first guitar I got was in a hawk shop down on Sprague Avenue, when they still had them down there, just not too far from the red light district. They had this hawk shop. My friend Stanley Lester Miller and we went in there one day, and I found this Ventura, and it was a price I could afford, and I was really poor. It was not very expensive guitar. Well, over time, when people were playing these Venturas, got to be recognized as a really good guitar. Now, what was the difference there? The difference was they were being used and played by professionals who made them what they were, because their energy began to embed itself in that guitar. Now, you may say that's metaphysical. It really isn't. It's scientifically proven, and it also says in the Bible that the scientifically proven, every word we say, everywhere we go, is embedded in the walls. It's recorded in everything. Now, we have figured out how to get little discs like my 45, and we got other ways to put it on tape. We figured out how to put it on there and then play it back. Most of this stuff around us will never play back the noise that is recorded in it, but every single word, and that's been proven scientifically, is embedded in everything around us. Now, maybe the salesman doesn't know that. The wood of the guitar that is played by a professional, passionate, that guitar is his life blood. He lives with it. He loves it. He takes care of it. He makes sure it's okay. He doesn't do the theatrical thing. You got these guys beating their guitars up on stage. That's all just some junk old guitar that they wanted to make a point about. No, if you got a guitar that your life is in, you depend on it for making a few bucks. And 99.99 and 99.9 of us, you ain't never gonna hear our name in anything, because we're just beating ourselves silly trying to get somewhere, making a few bucks at gigs, and so my point here is that I've done a few records. I cut an album. I got an album on my YouTube, and after Stan said he didn't want to be a rock star like I did. Thank God I didn't do that. Anyhow, he didn't want to. We had a really good sound together. It was kind of like Simon and Garfunkel at the time. It was Russell and Miller. Yeah. Anyhow, so he pulled out, and they didn't want me by myself, and I didn't have the kind of. We had a really cool, unique sound. Even Stan admits that. So anyhow, the point is, what I got on my hat here? Oh, that's my thing. Anyway. maybe you got my point. I don't know if I'm making myself clear or not. My point is that if you can find a guitar and you pick it up, and it's been played for decades by an old man who's getting rid of his guitars, his energy, passion, and love is in that guitar, and that guitar is not the same as it was the day you bought the guitar. You go down to a guitar, you got a very immature piece of wood with no life in it until you put life into that guitar. And it's amazing, even scientists, the physicists know that the wood is affected by the atmosphere. It's affected by every word that happens, every emotion that happens. When you're on stage and you got all this passion and power going, and you're blessing some people out there with a song that maybe you wrote, maybe somebody else's song, but you're blessing them and you feel their love for you. They're having fun and they're being touched. Now, when that happens, that guitar soaks it in. I'm telling you. So if you ever get a chance, just remember, you can go to the store and buy one of these pieces of junk at the store, brand new guitar. And it can be a really nice name. You can buy a Martin, you can buy a Yamaha, you can buy any of these, and they have the same numbers on it as the older guitars, and they'll look just the same, but you know what? They're not produced by the same people. And the world we are in today, we do not produce the level of quality that we used to produce. And I don't think anybody's going to argue with me about that. We are no longer doing it. For lots of reasons I can go into. I ain't want to do that now. So the point is that just the idea that someone would tell me that there's an even close comparison between a seasoned guitar that's used by an entertainer and then somehow compare it to some piece of junk that's that's never been touched by anybody. It's out of a factory, mass produced, hanging on a shelf there with no life in the wood. I'm sorry, you got to put life in it. And, if you don't want to believe that, you don't have to believe that. I don't care. My point is, that's my experience, and I have a right to my opinion, and I'm sure none of you are arguing with that. The point is, if you get an opportunity to buy an older guitar that's been played by a musician for decades, you're getting something, in my opinion, is golden and special. And it's worth a whole hell of a lot. No, I shouldn't say that. It's worth a whole lot more than any stinking piece of wood hanging on a store today. Yeah, you can bring those guitars that are being sold now into quality, but they're not coming out. They're not just going to show up with the kind of passion that goes into a guitar that's been used for decades. And you know what I'm saying. So anyhow, that's my point. I just couldn't go to sleep until I got that off my chest. I'm telling you what, I've been texting the guy. I'm going to send him this video, and I'm going to just let him know how I feel. And, I didn't want to have to write it all down because I get tired of my fingers get worn out. And they're cramping up. I have to make them. And anyhow, so, man, I wish I could demonstrate to you the true depth of the truth. I mean, the true depth of meaning and the power of a guitar. Why do you think when some Elvis's guitar? Why you think it's just because because it's Elvis's guitar that people want it? No, that guitar has Elvis's energy in it. Willie's guitars, if he ever sells them, they've got his energy in them, and that energy permanently changes the quality of the wood, the sound, everything else. And then I want to say, like my little Stella here now. Here's an example. I got to put a string on it. I kind of haven't been using them, so I've been neglecting my babies. But you see this Stella? Oh, this is my Stella. Stella by Starlight. Anyhow, this is my Stella. See, it's even got dirt on it. And see how I am. I've lost my responsibility. I'm shirking my responsibility for my guitars. Anyhow, I confess it. So here's a big crack all the way along, you know. I started playing this. After that crack, people came up and said, man, that's a nice guitar. What is that? And I said, it's a Stella. They said, we never heard a Stella sound like that. And, you know, so then I thought about getting that crack fixed in that. And one time I was doing a gig, and I you know, I'm not going to tell you the whole story, but, you know, the crack happened. Okay. So, and I thought, oh, gee, I cracked my, you know, I felt bad. I was depressed over cracking my baby Stella. And so then but I kept playing it because I really liked that little guitar. And people said, no, that's a really nice sounding guitar. And I said, yeah, I guess it does have a little bit of sound. And then I put it's got a crack over here, and I haven't got it fixed yet. I was thinking about fixing it. And I pushed it together so it wasn't cracked open any. And then I played it. The quality of the tone dropped, diminished. You know, you're never going to get a cracked guitar hanging on a brand new shelf that you didn't have any clue that when that crack happened, it would actually improve the quality of the sound of the guitar. You know, we think wrong about these things. We think brand new is perfect. No, brand new is a virgin. It's brand new. Brand new is immaturity. It's lack of understanding. As just all of us have been all our lives, you know, and still trying to learn. And you know, the older you get, the more seasoned you get. Like you know, it's true in everything. A great bottle of wine is not the one you buy brand new. Now, who would say, "Oh, I'd rather have a bottle of wine that was put in the bottle yesterday than one that's been aged for 3 years"? Well, that would be stupid, wouldn't it? Well, the guitars age the same way. So if you get a chance to buy, you know, a beautiful, seasoned instrument, you know, I told him I'd sell this to him for $100, and he came back at me and said, well, I've been selling it for a long time. I can buy a brand new one for $119. That's a better guitar than that. And I said, excuse, you know, I didn't say this to him. I was polite, but yeah, afterwards I thought, excuse me? And then I was trying to figure out why that offended me. And he hasn't got a clue, you know, that he offended me. But, you know, and I was trying to figure out why, because I wasn't aware. And then I got to thinking about how much passion goes into these guitars when they're used. And especially if you got one that, you know, you might have a guitar that's been, you know, just played around in somebody's house, and the kids played it and the parents played it, but then it's not a professional. Nobody really loved it. Yeah, you're not going to hear the same thing happening in an old guitar like that. But you take a guitar like one that a famous professional singer has touched and used for decades. It is full of passion, tone, density, quality that you'll never, ever gonna find. I'm guaranteeing this. You'll never find it hanging on the shelf of a store on a brand new guitar. These guitars that are aged are so much more valuable than they are. So I told him I would sell it to him for $100, and he thought that was an affront. So I think now I'm going to say next time if it comes up, I'm going to say I want $200 for it. And I don't care how much you can get it brand new, because this is a whole lot better than a brand new guitar you can ever buy today. And that's my opinion. Now you may say that guy's a nutcase, and I probably am. But I'm going to tell you right now that that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. And I don't want to sell these guitars, but you know, I'm not being responsible. It's kind of like I had 2 dogs, you know, and I'm traveling, I'm going on missionary trips, I'm in the Philippines, you know, and sometimes I go to Africa. My dogs are here all by themselves. My beloved, the most beautiful woman in the world, after 43 years, couldn't stand to be around me anymore. She divorced me, and I tried to be as nice as I could figure out how to be. But of course, it's always my fault. I had a song about that. Anyhow, so the point is, I'm alone in this house, and I got all these guitars, and I'm not playing them because I can't move my fingers the same way I used to, and I can still play, but I just don't. So, I had the dogs, and they were not being taken care of because I'd be leaving them here alone, and then I couldn't afford to put them in a kennel. Anyhow, you get my point. It's time to let go of the guitars, and that's hard for me. I might cry. I love these, especially this Yamaha and this Stella, and I got one more I'm holding on to in the back room I chose to keep because it has a story that is even more embedded in my passions than these two. But these are pretty much equally in the conditions. Sitting by a fire, playing the guitar and singing with your friends, writing songs, working them out, working the bugs out of them. That guitar is feeling all that, and it's participating with the performer in uniting to create a sound. It isn't rocket science, and it's not something that's not true. I'm telling you the truth about that. So I'm sure you won't watch this long. It's 21 minutes for I ramble and ramble. You probably got the point 20 minutes ago. I could have quit in 1 minute. They tell me don't make these long videos. Nobody will watch them. I'm at 70. I'd love to have it. I'd love to have you watch the whole thing. If you don't, ain't no skin off my back. If you become a subscriber, they're going to donate. YouTube will donate money if I get 1,000. And I've gotten 9 more subscribers in the last 28 days. So there's hope. Anyhow, I'm way far away from 1,000 subscribers. I got to get 1,000 before I get anywhere. I want to show you something though I picked up that God gave me in a miraculous kind of event, and it's right over here. This lady here. She was on the internet, and that's a long story about how God used me to bless somebody and pray with them and help them by buying this lamp. And it's a rare vintage lamp, one-of-a-kind porcelain lamp made in Florence, Italy in 1979. And now I have people wanting to buy that from me. And because of the passion and the story that I have around it, I don't want to let it go. So I may just hold on to that for a while if I can. Anyhow, God bless you all. Stay safe out there. Don't get yourself caught up in too much fear or any fear. Just trust God. Do the best you can to protect yourself in this COVID virus environment. Be wise. Wear a mask. Don't go without washing your hands. All these are good things. But no, excuse me. Don't be afraid, because fear has a way of causing the thing that you're afraid of to happen to you. And that's another fact. I'm not talking about that. No. Ooh, I suck some. I don't have it. I'm not sick. I just swallowed wrong. I was talking again. Never mind. Night.